the first time I told the teacher I liked hardcore, they were like, you mean like that hardcore? No.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is another episode of the Scoped Exposure podcast. One of my favorite things with Scoped Exposure, just with the amount of different things that we do the podcast, we do live sets, we do playlists, we feature new music. And one of the series that I brought back recently, because I'd missed doing it, was our Listen Up series. And I started that with my friend Jack of What It Takes, and they have been bringing a number of great picks to that series of the podcast. And one of those picks was one of the new Reaching Out songs off their latest EP, and a band that I was semi-privy to, but maybe only heard a track here and there. But that track really just sparked that much more interest for me, and just hearing how young this band is, not just the band's existence, but just like the musicians themselves. So I reached out, and here we are to set up a podcast. So without further ado, I'm very excited to be welcoming Krishna of Reaching Out and CROSSFIRE to the podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Yes, of course. Happy
Krishna,
holidays.
yeah, the timing that we're doing this is very holiday-esque. It's Christmas Eve, which I appreciate you making time for. I was surprised that when you booked in for the podcast that you chose today of all days. So I don't know if that was intentional to do so.
No, I don't know. It was like when I had time. It was whatever. It doesn't bother me.
Right. Krishna, for those that don't know, do you just want to intro what you do in Reaching Out? Because that's definitely going to be the main project that we're going to be talking about for the pod here.
Yes. So I sing in Reaching Out. I write the lyrics for Reaching Out. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. And what was interesting as well, before we get into it, when you booked in, you put your name as just KK. So I didn't even know your name was Krishna until you joined the call here. So I was like, are you familiar with Animal Crossing?
Oh, yes.
So I was like, are you related to KK Slide or something?
No, but I was playing it today. My best friend actually thought I named myself that because of Animal Crossing.
Right.
But it's just short for my name, which is Krishna Kata.
Ah, okay.
So I have a Hindu background. I grew up like learning about the Krishna stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So that's where I get my name.
Yeah. So it's got some deeper meaning, but for anyone that's maybe more of a nerd, you can, do the plug to Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, like, what generation of Animal Crossing are you?
Yeah. New Leaf.
You got the KK Slide? That's so sick.
He was one of my favorites.
It's like,
not just because we shared a name.
Whoever's the musical director for Animal Crossing and just decides his singing style is just beep bop beep bop bop. Like, and there's multiple different versions of whatever, because I would almost say there's probably hundreds of Animal Crossing songs someone had to just make them sound slightly different, but using no actual lyrics. So
yeah, right. All the different styles, man.
Right. So Krishna, before we get into the actual music talks, we're dipping in there a little bit with the Animal Crossing talk, which is preferred, but we have to check some beverages here on the show before we get going. So It's tradition for the guests to go first. So tell me what you're going to be sipping on for today's episode.
Today I have my favorite flavor of seltzer, a polar lime. I have two just in case.
Wow. Very dedicated.
Because I go through them pretty quick, so
in the over 200 episodes of this podcast. There's been lots of people who have double bev checked, but no one who has double bev checked with the same bev. So
Broke the streak.
this is a scoped exposure first, if I've ever seen one. So
Wow, it's an honor. It is.
mark that in your calendars, folks. Bevs for me, I got a lot of repeats here. I don't know if you can see the massive amount of liquid death cases that arrived here.
I'm a fan myself.
Yes, there's a closet just on the opposite side of this wall that is just liquid death cases, probably like over 100. But I always like to spice it up and change a little things, and also like venture into new bev territory. So I'm gonna be drinking. This caught my eye when I saw it. It's an Arizona watermelon fruit juice cocktail. So
Oh, wow.
I'm I crack in Arizona every once in a while, but I've never done. It's called a cowboy cocktail, and I live in Alberta, and we're kind of like the cowboy province of Canada, so that's what I'm gonna be drinking.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, if I take a sip of this and it's good, I will give a prompted yeehaw. So let me give you a quick review.
Let's get it.
Yeah, that's good. I hope that wasn't like super clipping for the audio people, but sorry, not sorry at the same time. Well, Krishna, cheers to you, my friend. Really excited to do this pod with you.
Cheers. Yes, yes.
How much polar limes have you probably bought this year in 2022?
More than I can count on 2 hands. That's for fucking sure, man.
Yeah.
My whole family, we don't drink soda, and we just can't we can't just drink regular water. So we always buy cases of seltzer, whatever's on sale, and we go through it like that.
Mm-hmm.
We are seltzer lovers over here.
Yeah. It's if you had a surplus of money, you would probably have lime polar on tap, just like a little thing in the house, just like, and it only dispenses that.
I would buy the fucking company, bro, if I could.
KK becoming a CEO as well. I love that. Well, Krishna, before we get into the music chats, I always like to get a bit of context about how people even just like discovered hardcore, punk, DIY music, however you want to spin it. So take me way back in time to like the first time you were hearing some of this shit, and then we'll kind of get into the other aspects of when the band started. But like, take me back to day one for you.
It's hard to pinpoint exactly, because I feel like I've been around it like for most of my life. Because, okay. See, I love this question because I feel like the answer changes every time, but it still somewhat has the same background, because my dad was into hardcore since like he was around it when it like started, right? Like the 80s.
Right.
So and I used to like hang out with him a lot growing up, like going to the tattoo shop with him. And I don't remember exactly, but I remember hearing for hardcore, what got me into it was he played the Social Decay 7-inch. I think it was a 7-inch. Life's Not Hard, You're Just Soft. They're like a Jersey band. And that it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit. This is what I'm doing now. And also The Age of Quarrel, classic, Cro-Mags. But I feel like most of it, I feel like I got into because I was into like more punk first. So I listened to like all the DC punk bands, like all the starter bands, like Minor Threat and like Fugazi. My mom used to play them in the car all the time.
Wow.
And Suicidal Tendencies for some reason. That was one of my starters too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like when I was around, it all happened like around when I was 14. So right at the right time, like angst and like, oh, I don't fit in with anybody, fresh out of middle school.
Yeah, but that's interesting that despite going through a lot of that, which I think a lot of people in punk and hardcore, experience that same thing. You at least had your parents who were kind of almost giving you a bit of a roadmap into, finding some of that.
And I would get recs from my dad. My dad would recommend stuff like, oh, I want more punk. He would maybe he'd send me maybe a Discharge EP or, oh, I remember when I was getting into more recent hardcore, he sent me some more recent hardcore first. I remember he sent me Ikulu, and I was like,
whoa,
there's current bands making hardcore. I didn't even know that.
Right.
I just listened to the old stuff, all the dark hardcore.
Yeah,
that's what he was into first, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely there's definitely an aspect where you're discovering even just heavy music in general, whether it's punk metal or new metal, depending on what era that you're kind of placed in. But there's kind of a transition point where you're like, oh, these are just rock stars and people that are doing this in crazy levels. And then you discover something on a local level or something that's current. And you're like, oh, this is something that I can do and is attainable. And then, the snowball starts to build from there. What was when you're thinking back to stuff that, your dad recommended or your mom recommended, was there anything that was without this, thinking about starting a band or doing anything else, would have been impossible or it would have never happened? Is there one main pillar band that you got put onto that you think is really instrumental?
Honestly, I remember Killing Time being because the lyrics, I don't know, some about them were just so fucking hard, man. I was like, this is the shit. I gotta do some shit like that.
Right.
And then I did with my friend.
So what year is a lot of this stuff happening? Just so I can kind of fully understand the whole picture of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. My timeline's all over the place.
No, you're all good.
I'm so scatterbrained because I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but it was for me, I think it was freshman year of high school. So I just got out of 8th grade in the freshman year of high school. Started listening to Fugazi, and then on the weekends I would hang out with my dad, so we'd listen to Social Decay and Cro-Mags, and then it just kept going from there.
Cool. So 2000 and what year?
Yeah, it'd be about 2018 and 2019. So
okay.
Somewhat recent, right?
Yeah. Because you just correct me if I'm wrong. You graduated this year, 2022.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in August.
Yeah.
I'm fresh out of high school at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I just want to understand the timeline because, again, kind of going back to the original idea of it is when Jack was putting me onto some of the tracks off the new EP, and they were saying these kids are 19, 18, 17. I was like, how are people making this good? Because when I'm just over 10 years older than you, and you couldn't pay me enough money for me to show you the music that I was making when I was your age. It would be, my credibility would be so out this window here. So but before we get into that, I just wanted to understand the timeline of everything. And I feel like we brought up graduation, and something that I thought was very, very funny when I was prepping for this interview, and I can actually see it in the background of your video, is you had New Jersey NJHC on the top of your grad cap. Can you show that for the? That is bedazzled as fuck.
So this is actually the Social Decay skull.
Okay.
So that's where it started. That's where it ended, baby.
So
fucking chain on the side.
Again, I think I haven't been in high school for over 10 years now, and I didn't think that like doing the like designing the caps was even a thing. So did you have other people in your school who were doing that, or you were like, no, I need to have hardcore literally on the top of my head when I'm, ending this chapter of my life?
They did, but they had colleges, important stuff.
Arguably
stuff.
less important stuff compared to putting that shit on top.
Yeah. I think this was a cool one. I kind of wish I did like the New York Hounds logo, because like they have that song Heading Out. I feel like that would have been a funny play on.
Yeah, big old pun there. I love that.
I would. It's a little cornier though. Whatever.
Yeah,
it's over now.
Were there any like teachers or like people within your school that were like, "What is that?" Or you just like showed up and you're like, "You can love it or hate it. This is what I'm doing."
Yes, they asked me like, "Oh, KK, what does that mean?" I'm like, well, you see, it means New Jersey hardcore. And that's about as much as I can explain to you, because we could be here for 20 minutes trying to explain what the whole genre was.
Yeah.
Because the first time I told the teacher I liked hardcore, they were like, You mean like that hardcore? No. Whenever you tell somebody that, they think you mean that hardcore, not the music.
Yeah, not triple X hardcore. Like, let's.
So I stopped. I stopped trying to explain it.
Right.
Very, very quickly.
Yeah. Literally anytime, like, I think over the years you just learn, like, I need to water this down so much for normies.
No,
where it's
exactly.
Like, it's like rock and roll, like punk. Like, punk is already like, whoa, what do you mean punk? You mean like throw bricks through my department store window? It's like, no. Like, you just have to like, you just keep watering it down where it's not even the same anymore.
Punk like Machine Gun Kelly? No.
No.
I say like, oh, it's kind of like punk and metal, so it's like it's fast like metal, but the lyrics are kind of like punk.
Right.
And even then they're still like, oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm explaining my band, sometimes I'll just think of like, what is the household name band that's like kind of the closest, just to give them like, instead of trying to explain the genre, it's like, oh, just like we copycat, like, I play in a band called Endgame, and I'm always like, oh yeah, we just rip off like old Metallica riffs, and they're like, oh, okay, and then
oh, okay.
that's enough.
I got you.
Yeah. So yeah, like, you're discovering a lot of this stuff while you're in school. You're like reaching out. Demo obviously like came out in kind of a crazy time in 2020, and even a crazier time for someone like yourself, because you're going to school and having to do all the online stuff while all this is happening. So let's transition there and just tell me like the origin of the band. Is that your first band? Like, what was the why behind starting that, and during the time as well? So talk to me about that.
Yes, this is currently the first band. This is the band for me. Yeah, I haven't been in anything else. I'm trying to think when it started. I don't remember if we like, because the guitarist I started with is not in the band anymore. He's in Without Peace now. So we started in 2019, if I'm getting it correctly here. Sometimes I can like kind of differentiate the timelines by what my hair looked like.
Okay.
Because I changed it a lot. I think I had like a neon green mohawk then. I think. Goddamn. So I think we started January 2019 or 20. It's all a blur. I don't know why. But we were in his bedroom. We were like, all right, we want to make this band. What should we do? I didn't know any instruments. He knew guitar, so it was obvious I was going to be the singer. I was thinking about doing bass, but we wanted to like get it done fast. We just wanted to like jump into it. So and I wanted to sing anyways because I wrote lyrics. They were crap, but I wrote lyrics. And then as time went on, we would add to our roster, and this is the thing that seems to get like, I don't know. I think I don't know if it's entirely unique to reaching out, but yes, our parents did help a little bit with finding members because we actually through their friends, they had kids that were into music.
Oh, okay.
And so they're like, "Oh, why don't you ask so and so to be in your band? He likes hardcore and plays guitar." So that's how we got.
Well, at least in my opinion, I've never heard of parents wanting to help their kids form a hardcore band, but I think that's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. It's very unique about reaching out. It's a little embarrassing, honestly. I feel like we're a little bit of a boy band because of that, but it's not anything to be ashamed of.
Well, the fact that the parents know that it's like, oh, like this person likes hardcore, not like, oh, they like rock music, like, and you're just trying to bring a person that just does AC/DC covers into like a hardcore project, you know? Like, I think, I don't know, I think that's pretty unique, honestly. I've never heard that from anyone else.
But yes, I do love and appreciate all the parents for bringing us together.
Shout out to the
gotta
parents.
put it out there. I do love you guys and I appreciate it.
Right.
But I will not lie, I do feel a little silly admitting that. But yes, so we found Caden because his dad was in Madball for a little bit, and our parents knew each other.
That's great. Okay, it's not just like, oh, I think my kid watched this Knock Loose video. It's like, oh no, his dad was in arguably one of the most legendary New York hardcore bands of all time. That's crazy.
I think he played on the one blue one. I think it was Hold It Down, right? It was like,
is that Hold It Down?
Yeah. No.
And Hoya's gonna give me shit for this.
Wait, why can't I remember? It's the one. It had the blue background and it had like the cityscape in like black on the front.
Yes, that is Hold It Down.
It was
put out in 2000.
So I think he played on them. I think it was that, and I think our parents knew each other because Caden's mom was like into the Hare Krishna thing for a little bit. I think that's how they knew each other. So they probably like, I don't know, met each other at the temple, and so we got Caden. And through them, we found Kevin, our drummer, because Caden's dad, Beto, knows Stickman, and Stickman knows Gene, and Gene's kid, Kevin, plays the drums. Gene was in...
What is going on right now?
Gene was in Second to None. And our former bassist we found because her parents were also into hardcore.
Wow.
But the lineup has changed since then. We've still kept me, Caden, and Kevin, but we have a new bassist and a new second guitarist.
Okay.
Which we both met at shows.
I think that is wild that, you know, on the surface, like, oh, our parents helped form our... But all of these parents have ties to legendary hardcore bands.
It's a weird, like, they all weave, like, in and out. It's kind of weird to think about.
Did that add an element of pressure to a degree where it's like, oh, like, we're trying to bring in this kid whose, you know, dad was in Madball or no Stickman, like you were saying? Or was it just like, oh, this is just wild that all these connections are happening just almost like organically?
It was just crazy to me. Like, I didn't really think anything of it. I was just like, oh, wow, that's fucking cool as fuck. Like, damn, all right, maybe we'll get somewhere with this.
Yeah.
What really, really did get me was apparently Beto also played in Marauder for a hot minute. So that got me like, oh my fucking God. So I was excited about that.
Right.
It's cool.
So, you know, the original lineup forms, you know, you said there's been a couple changes here and there, but when the original lineup formed, was it very clear what you guys wanted to sound like musically, or was it kind of like we're just gonna write hardcore music and see where it goes?
We just wrote. I didn't really have anything in mind for the lyrics. I wasn't really pissed about anything, so that didn't really help. So I mean, I'm not a fan of the demo's lyrics, honestly. I kind of wrote about whatever. I mean, I felt a little anxious because the pandemic was going on, so I wrote about that. But I feel like it didn't translate well what I was thinking to the paper. I feel like a buffoon thinking about it now because it's just not as good.
Yeah.
And also, one of our songs on the demo I wrote because I was watching a lot of Vietnam War movies at the time.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, I
really
I
showed
think
my age.
I think anyone, whether it's sonically or on a lyric front, like they'll look at their early stuff and they're just like oh man, like I could have done so much better. Like they're kind of harder on themselves. But I always remember how people have said like once you put something out, it's like there is a piece of it that is still yours, but now if other people are resonating with or they find meaning in it, then it becomes theirs as well. So it's I think it sounds like if this is your first band, there's many first bands where I was like, why the fuck did I write lyrics about that? Or where was my mind at thinking this was like the best riff of this EP or whatever? So, sometimes it's all about just moving forward and taking those lessons so you can. I'm sure that the lessons from the lyrics that you wrote on the demo taught you more for this latest release than writing the most killer shit and then you apply the same thing.
Yeah. I guess I could cut myself a little slack. I was like 15 or 16 when I wrote them.
Cut yourself some slack.
It's fine. It's whatever.
So timeline wise, you start the band in 2019. When did you guys actually like record the music? Was it like COVID had started or it hadn't started yet?
I think it was like literally right in the middle of COVID.
Okay.
Because it was still like you got to wear a mask era.
Right.
But like if you were with like a few people you knew, you didn't have to.
Right.
But you were still like, should I be wearing a mask?
Right.
Am I gonna get sick? It to put it this way, it was before the vaccinations.
Yes. Okay. So we're like summer of 2020 kind of timeline.
Yes. We were breaking rules.
Breaking rules for the core. Everyone listening to this podcast broke some quote unquote rules for the core during peak COVID times. But was the the first couple months of that like kind of almost an accelerator to like we have to like, because there was a lot of people that were kind of like, let's hold off on doing stuff for a bit, like let's shelf this release for to kind of figure it out? Or was it the opposite for y'all? Was it like, well, there's nothing to do and I haven't done anything hardcore wise in a month or 2 months, like let's fucking find a way?
Yeah, it was pretty much that. It was like, well, there's really nothing else to do. Might as well record this and get it out. If not now, when? So we recorded it in Chris Ross's basement. He lives like a town over from me. So we did it in his basement, I think, in 1 or 2 days.
Oh, okay.
We recorded the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't actually have a drummer then. Kevin wasn't in the band yet. We actually had my dad's friend, Sean, do drums. He was in Most Precious Blood. And my dad know him. What the hell? My dad knew him because he works at the same tattoo shop.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yes, these weird connections going on.
So yeah, I'm kind of looking at your Spotify here to kind of like fully see the kind of the trajectory. So you record in the summer, you put out one song at the very end of 2020, and then you put out the full demo the first week of 2021.
Yes. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, because I think just like looking through it, I was like, okay, demo 20. And I remember this a lot. Now that I'm saying it, I'm remembering it because through all the times where there was no shows, I was just very avid of like doing a big master playlist of new music. And then I
Mhm.
think when your demo came out, I was like, but this is 2021 now. And I was like, I'm not gonna give this band a hard time. It was just like kind of funny. I don't know if that was like you put it for streaming and then it got delayed and got pushed over the year after, or was that intentional?
I don't even remember. We might have recorded it in 2020. I think so. I think originally we were with Safe Inside Records for a little bit.
Oh
So
yes, that's right. Yeah, I think
yeah.
I first saw because I've followed the Safe Inside roster a lot over the years, and I think
Hmm.
I think that's where I saw the
So
name originally.
it must have been because we were releasing, we were gonna release a single and then a demo, probably. I
Yeah.
don't know, for promo purposes, because we were releasing a cassette of the demo.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's funny is I think it was Caden's parents. We got like a present from them. It might have been Caden's parents and Stickman. I can't remember. Darn my memory. I can only remember things for like 2 seconds. But we got like studio time for Christmas at one point too,
Okay.
and we recorded a song with Stickman. I don't even remember when that came out either.
Was that Prototype? Is that the song?
No,
No. Oh no.
no,
Was that Wrong Pace?
no, it was Better Tomorrow.
Oh, is that off the demo?
It might not even. I don't know. I don't know. I think
Did
it's
that
not
even
on.
come out?
Yeah, yeah, it came out.
That's strange. I can't find it on the streaming. So maybe.
And I don't remember when that came out, but it was kind of rushed. So I would love to do another one with Stickman,
Yeah,
just not rushed.
I think anyone listening would love to do a song or two, do some studio time with Stickman. That's awesome. So, so was there any hesitancies off of releasing music? Just again off of like the COVID times, because hindsight, if anything, it was the best time for new bands to drop their shit because so many people were just like, well, if I can't go to shows, I might as well, read up on new bands and, pay attention to what's going on and to kind of like fill the void that was left during that time. But initially, like a lot of people just clearly had hesitancies. Did you feel that way, or was it like, let's just put it out and see what happens?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I think we just wanted to like get it out there. Uh, like I said, like sooner than later, because it. Thought I heard a weird noise. Anyways, it just felt like the time to do it. Because like, well, yeah, everyone's sitting at home and doing nothing. So yeah, they're probably looking for new music, looking for something to do.
So let's so we've talked a lot about like the origin music of this band. Let's fast forward a little bit to the latest release, What Was Left, that y'all put out just under a month ago as far as the time of recording this episode. Arguably, I think that this is the best like music I've heard of from y'all, and just like the presentation, the artwork, everything just like flows really nicely. So talk to me about, again, where we were talking about like I guess the lessons that you learned on the, things that you're not super proud of on the demo per se, and how you kind of took that to the next level with this release.
So I definitely feel like this one we took our time with. It's still a little rushed at the end, but we definitely took our time. Like we learned not to rush a song just to get it out.
Right.
Like no matter what. Cause we're not, if we rush it, we're not gonna like it. It's not gonna sound right.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to work on our stuff and cut the stuff that we didn't like, even if it was gonna like take time off the set. If we don't like it, like just get rid of it. It's like no need to drag around that dead weight. So we actually had like, I think we wrote like 2 or 3 songs that we didn't record that we would play live. But after a while, at first we were like, oh man, this is good as hell. Like, I can't wait to record this. And then after a while we were just like, nah, this is shit. We gotta drop this. So the stuff that we recorded was the stuff that we found was the best. And this time I took my time on the lyrics. I think I remember rushing before recording to finish, but not this time. Well, yeah, this time. Only on one song though. But I didn't rush as much. I actually thought about what I wanted to write about, and I was actually inspired. So it definitely helped come off as, I don't know what's the word. It's just more put together, I feel like, than the demo.
Cohesive, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You were mentioning earlier, like with the demo stuff, you're like, I wasn't, there was anxiousness, but it wasn't like pissed as far as like, not having that inspiration. So what were the things that like were helping inspire you for what you were writing for this release?
Okay. So I could do it song by song.
If you want to, yeah. So for Impaired,
today really is the age of people going on. I'm gonna sound like an old head, but it really is the age of people going on the internet and complaining about shit but not doing anything.
Yep.
And like posting infographics on their story like it's gonna change the world. You know what I'm saying? I sound like such an old head, but it's true. It's true. So the chorus of that song pretty much has to do with that. Begged for difference, bought their lies. You have no right to criticize because you don't. Because you complain about things, you don't do anything about it.
Right.
And it's just basically about. I mean, it's like the same thing you'd hear in any hardcore song, pretty much. Like, it's the man is putting us down, like that type of thing. And then what was left, I'm gonna get a little emo here for a second. I think it's pretty clear what it's about. I actually wrote the first draft of that. I think the night after my pet rabbit died. Believe it or not, that got me writing, man. Because it was such like it was so devastating for me, because like it's such like an innocent creature, to be taken away from this world with like no warning. So that one is about death. And I also had in mind family members and friends who have passed away. Because it really goes out to them, because like that loss that's just so unexpected, and it sticks with you.
Sure. What was your rabbit's name?
Yeah. Chop.
Chop.
I named him after the Rottweiler from GTA.
That is so him. Sick. Rip.
Bless up,
Rip
Chop.
to Chop.
Dedicate
this whole
boy.
fucking podcast to Chop.
Chop was a good boy, man. Yeah. Wish you could have seen him.
Yeah.
But yeah. And Maya was... That one was... I wrote that so last minute. I think I literally wrote it either... It was a combination of the night before and the day of recording it.
Very classic hardcore move to do that shit.
So I wrote that one. I thought the riff we wrote for that song sounded like 108, so I was just like, I was listening to 108 nonstop, trying to like pull it like inspiration from it.
Mm.
And I did eventually. It's pretty much, so Maya is the word, Sanskrit word, I think, from what I read in the Bhagavad Gita, for illusion. So like, and the illusion is like material illusion. So like, if you're living in a material world, you want all these external things that isn't a love for God, basically. So I wrote it about that, being so inept to what's on the inside, and you're just focused on trying to make external things to make trying to take external things to make you happier, which doesn't work, obviously. It's only temporary. So that's what that John's about, and the rest is just musical.
Right. Oh, sorry. Is wrong pace is an instrumental?
Oh, I forgot about this song.
That's all good.
Yeah, because we did write that one a while ago.
Intro, I would expect to be an instrumental, but I'm like, this has a song name, so.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that one. We threw that one on there. That's right. I don't know. I wrote that one about trifling ass motherfuckers, because that's what you do in hardcore. Trifling ass motherfuckers talking behind your back. But yeah, that's all that.
Yeah.
It's like you've heard that formula before. That's a very hardcore thing. I think it's pretty surface level and understandable.
Yeah. I think Impaired was the song that Jack played on the podcast, and that's what I was like, okay, this shit like really rocks. But listening to that EP front to back, it's what was left is the one with the like acoustic intro, right?
Yeah.
I had, there are few hardcore bands that do a solo track with that. It's one thing to start with an acoustic and then kind of, I'm like, oh, is this going to be a really slow song? Like my brain starts to unravel. But the fact that y'all came with like just as hard 2-step riffs right after, I'm like, I thought that the combination was very perfectly executed. I'll say that.
Thank you. Yeah, the acoustic thing we did later in the studio, because originally Caden, I think he just stepped on a pedal and it like he just didn't do it with the distortion.
Right.
So it was just him on the guitar there was an acoustic guitar in the studio and we were like, hey, why not? Let's do this. It sounds kind of, you ever heard of the Suicidal Tendencies, the acoustic version of How Will I Laugh Tomorrow?
No.
You never heard of that?
No.
It kind of reminds me of that.
Okay.
Our version's a little less silly, I would think, than theirs. But yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, like had a couple releases now with a couple singles. Y'all are based in New Jersey, which, is kind of one of those branching off of, clearly lots of ties to like very legendary and classic New York hardcore stuff. So what has been for you like the best part about being a New Jersey band, and what's been maybe the thing that's been challenging to a degree, as far as maybe not getting, or like, oh, you, because it's that classic thing I think on the outside, it's like, oh, you live in New Jersey, and it almost feels like a demeaning kind of thing. So any thoughts there?
Yeah, what I like about New Jersey is like it's like kind of in the middle, like with the tri-state area thing. So like we got Pennsylvania and New York if you want to go to shows, and even Delaware if I want.
Right.
It isn't that far. So I like that aspect. I feel like New Jersey's pretty good point, because I can go in any direction and it won't be that far. But the thing about New Jersey, we don't seem to have as many venues, like solid venues.
Okay.
So we might have like a VFW or like maybe 1 or 2 clubs, but they're like kind of way up north. So I doubt anybody from New York is going to come see us. I feel like people from Philly or South Jersey or Delaware would rather not drive that far. So that's what sucks about it. I wish there was something maybe like closer to everybody else,
Sure.
but I don't really have any complaints. I fuck with New Jersey, you know, and there's like still bands coming out of New Jersey. I think we're supposed to play with Bayway. I don't remember when they released their stuff, but they're like still pretty stinking new. They're supposed to play a record release, and damn, there was another band, but I can't remember their name. But if it comes to me, I will shout them out.
Please do. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, like, is there any new or current Jersey bands that you're like really, anytime that y'all are offered a show and you see them on the bill, you're like hella excited? Do any bands come to mind? If you want to give like a top 3.
Yeah, I will shout them out. I like seeing Cut Down and Never Again, not just because we're like friendly, but they're good at making music. I will admit. And if there's someone else, I don't know. I can't remember. Bayway is pretty good though.
I've heard Never Again before. I like that shit.
Yeah, I like it because it's like that hardcore punk. That's I think that's most of what I listen to. I would say that's my favorite type of hardcore.
Yeah,
got the little punk twang.
That punk twang.
That punk twang. I fuck with it.
You know, going back again to like, just the young nature of like the band, but also like everyone playing in the band. Like, are there other bands that are playing in the Jersey area that are like, oh, like we're all in the kind of same graduating class, or is it like, oh, we're like all the actual kids and then there's like actual old heads? Like, I'm just kind of curious if there's an age gap, because I'm passionate about this because when I moved to Calgary where I live now, there was definitely like everybody is 25 plus and there's no like young kids, and it felt like the same bands were playing over and over again. And then there was just a wave of a year where there was all these new kids who were still in high school who were coming to shows, and then they would start bands, and that's been like so necessary for our scene to almost have this like liveliness to it again. So I'm just kind of curious on if that's a similar experience for you, or if it's a little bit different.
Somewhat, cause like I will say there are like kids close to our age, but they're more close to like both of the Kevins in our band's age, so like on the 20s. And I can't really remember anyone younger than that. Honestly.
Right.
But it's not really much older than 20 to 30 for New Jersey. At least what I've seen from the shows that I'm going to. Maybe it's just the area that I'm in.
Sure.
But yeah, there is still a few kids though, which I'm always happy to see.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to see like kids at shows. For us though, we clicked with more like the Philly and Delaware area because they're like more within our age.
Sure.
So we're supposed to do a tour with Killing Me, and they're all like within our age range. So like 18, 19 ish. So we're rolling with them.
Going back to what you're saying about New Jersey not maybe having enough venues, is there also a struggle with like venues that are all ages, or is that not a problem?
Yeah, sometimes like there will be shows, there will be dope ass shows, but there will be 21 plus. I'm gonna have to sneak into that if I want to see it, and I don't feel like doing that. That's not always easy.
Right.
But that I would say that's also a struggle. Yeah. I won't name names because that feels shady, but some places only do 21 up.
Yeah.
And that's not even exactly the promoter's fault. It's just the spot
Well,
doesn't
to
want
be
younger
fair, the
kids.
promoter is choosing the venue, and to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, if there's only 3 or 4 places to choose from, and all of them are 21 up, like, are you gonna just skip the
Mhm.
show, or are you gonna have to, for
Yeah.
at least that time? So I just think it's so vital to just keep things all eight, like have the first option be all ages, because especially nowadays with like the internet being at scale and like people just on their phones and social media, and it's like inarguably there's like more things to be consumed by if you don't discover hardcore and you don't gravitate to that. So it's like if people aren't, they just see something on Hey 56, or they just see like a cool clip that's going viral, they might just be onto the next thing already, versus seeing that, coming to a show that they can go because it's all ages. And because I've always said that the online stuff is the thing to like maybe spark the interest, but like when you're at a show, that's where things like can really connect and galvanize and cement forever.
No, yeah, that I can concur. That is definitely true.
Concur.
I can concur.
I do concur.
I do concur. I cannot stand when like because okay, the thing with hardcore is I think it's pretty obvious. It just loops in and out of like the mainstream because of social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Because well, first of all, it's gonna introduce, sorry to sound like a gatekeeper, but it is gonna introduce people who don't know a lot about shows.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna expect their experience to be like perfect, because that's how it's like pretty much painted on social media, right?
Mm.
They're gonna think they're entitled to not getting hurt at shows, which is stupid. So they're just gonna cause all sorts of problems with people because they don't know the etiquette.
Right.
The etiquette is important, and they're just gonna, if they're just riding it for the hype, they're gonna drop it. So they're not gonna stay, and therefore it's not going to grow if they're only riding it for the hype.
Yeah.
But I would much rather actually all ages shows, because that can actually bring in people to the genre. Like, okay, actually, this is a good example. Our bass player, we actually played a show in Asbury at Trinity Church. I think that was one of the first few shows they had there, and now big bands are playing that. I'm happy about that, actually. That place, it's a cute spot. I do like it there.
I've heard as it's Asbury.
Asbury, yeah.
Asbury Park. I've seen a lot of people when they tour through there have had really good experiences. And this year specific, like that, I would just see like constant tweets and Instagram posts about that town specifically.
But yeah, actually, at one of the shows we played, our bass player was like, he was there for whatever fucking reason. I guess he was just bored, but it helped because he was a young kid, right? He lied to us at first and said he was like 15. He's 13. He lied just so he could get in the band, because we were looking for a permanent bass player then, and he went to Lake House, like this like music school. So bro knows his shit. He knows his shit.
Okay.
So that was pretty good. We had a practice with him. He didn't know much about hardcore at the time, but he did get more into it, and now we have influenced him in many ways, and it helps with the writing process, and he goes to shows as often as he can. He's still 13, so it's a little harder for him, but at least you will have the experience from like the beginning. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So he will be in this band now, but maybe he'll be even better like years down the line because he's had the experience.
Yeah, like that's a selfish thing of why I love doing this show, because there's a lot of podcasts that will just go after the quote unquote big fish, the people that are clearly going to do like crazy numbers, but like I love being able to discover bands and then go a little deeper, because the same could be said about you, where it's like we could do this podcast and then like in 5 years maybe there's another project, but maybe it's even crazier than before. So I think like
Mm-hmm.
documenting those people's like, it's the same thing. Like I'm wearing a Speed shirt, and Jem, their singer, came on the first time like before We See You came out, and like, and then came on after to talk about like, because that is inarguably the song that like blew up that band. So I love to be able
Mm-hmm.
to like, see the early things of a band, and then like get to talk with them fully one-on-one about it, and then who knows, and like, and like that's, if the drummer's 13 years old, like 18 years old, like you're gonna be doing crazy shit. Like screen
Mm-hmm.
record this and then like cut to 5 years from now when he's like fucking drum soloing at a fest or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mhm. Going back
But
to
yeah.
like, just like the whole like, again, not to sound like a gatekeeper, but it is that thing where, especially post pandemic, is what I've been trying to use terminology wise. Like there are new people who are coming to shows that either found out about it, or maybe they had skipped out on hardcore for a number of years and they're like, I need this shit in my life and I need to go back. There is and will always be people that, like hardcore isn't for everyone, but should be offered to everyone. And I think doing the stuff like this, or for bands talking about that either online, like that, if anything, is like the hardcore for dummies, like textbook, but instead of an actual book that you're buying, you're just like learning about stuff as you're like going down the rabbit hole. So that's always something that I try to remember when I'm doing this stuff, is like I won't shy away from having those conversations, because I do think that there is maybe one person who's like genuinely interested and like wants to make sure they're um, carrying themselves accordingly. And any of the people that are like talking shit online or trying to cancel bands because they got like moshed on at a show, I think those are maybe just like growing pains, and that shit
Mm-hmm.
sucks, and I don't like it. But like, I think hardcore is in a very special time right now with the amount of interest into that like crossover into the mainstream. Like I do agree that there, when it becomes too much, it's like is this underground music not becoming underground anymore? But I do think that those are still base hits to be able to just have every scene across North America have multi-hundred kids at shows, not just like the scenes that are like, oh, we got 60 people, that's a good show. I want every show eventually to have like 3 digits worth of people all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree with that. I the thing with the kids that do hype, like ride the hype train, it breaks my heart, man, because we could have had another hardcore soldier, but no, they're skipping on to the next thing. But yeah, to anyone who's interested in it, they shouldn't be afraid to come out to shows. They just need to understand that what we do isn't going to be the safest thing. I don't know why anyone would expect to be safe at a hardcore show. You might get moshed on, but that's that. I don't like getting moshed on, but I try not to complain about it.
Right.
At least put it out there.
Well, it's like, I think that there's a risk. It's kind of like you're going to those parks or the different things where it's like, uh, attend at your own risk, or be involved
Yeah,
at your own risk. And I think that's the same with
yeah,
hardcore. It's
yeah,
like everyone is air quotes safe, because like you could be someone that stands fully at the back and doesn't do anything and is watching from afar because it's someone's doing a Hatebreed cover, and it's like, oh, like I want to stay clear of that. But at the same time, like I f- I feel that unless you're like, I did a podcast with a friend of mine from up here in Canada, where we were talking about like the closer you are physically to the stage and to the band, you will get way more juiced up and like want to like mosh or do something like, you know, like give in to that feeling versus if you're staying right at the back and you're just like, you know, just watching as like a spectator.
That's how it is. Yeah, I don't know. No further comment. That's
No further comment.
No further comment.
You were mentioning like Philly, you know, being very close, and something that I thought was very, very cool is y'all got to open one of the days. You know, I mentioned Hatebreed. You got to open the day that Hatebreed played This Is Hardcore. How was that?
Yeah, that was cool, man. That was really something else. There are not words to describe how important I felt in that moment.
Right.
So thank you, Papa Joe, for putting us on that shit. Meant a lot. And like the amount of people who mosh for us, because that's the, you know, I think it's hard to not notice that the crowd response is just like extreme. It feels so extremely important. It's like more than if they cheered for you at the end. Who moshed, you know?
Right.
It's such like a gratifying feeling. So that was very nice. I felt like.
And it's also sometimes you can look down and be like, oh, it makes sense that so and so is moshing because they're a homie. But then you're like, I could not even tell you this person's first name or where they're from. So the strangers who mosh, I would almost encourage people listening, if you fuck with a band super heavy and they're coming to your scene or you're seeing them at a fest, instead of introing yourself before they play, mosh hard as fuck when they play and then go introduce yourself later, because I think that in the moment seeing someone that I like, I have no idea who this person is, but damn, they like my shit, and I think that's super cool. That's the order of those things is important, I think.
Yes. I think it's usually a given that your friends will mosh, and it's like really special. Like, I want to kiss them all on the foreheads for doing it. Like, it means that much to me. But yeah, it's amazing when someone you don't fucking know fucks with your stuff. Because they don't even have to, you know? They don't even have to give a fuck about you, but they do.
Right.
It's lovely.
Well, also in a fest setting, you know, there's, you know, 20 plus bands that day probably. So and y'all are opening, so it's very easy for people to choose, oh, I'm running late to the venue, or I'll kind of do whatever. But yeah, it means a lot when all that stuff connects.
If they're willing to waste their mosh meter on you, man.
The mosh meter.
The fucking mosh meter, bro.
Yo, okay.
Copyright.
Oh, damn, you just copyrighted it. I was just maybe like, like
the mosh meter.
Just because I do, in addition to this podcast, I film bands. There's like so much footage that I have of people who are like the mosh mutants, the mosh warriors who will mosh for all the bands. But to your point, there is a mosh meter that slightly goes down band after band after band. So
depending,
I need to do a compilation of those said mosh warriors and then just have like a gas tank graphic. It's going down and down. So what was your favorite, like, This Is Hardcore is probably the biggest show y'all have played?
Yes, I would say so. Biggest attendance, at least.
Right.
Well, yeah, and headliners too, obviously.
Right. So, was there, like, what was the biggest, because I think every fest or big show, there's always kind of like, not a surge, but like there's something to take away from that, as well as like inspire you for like the stuff ahead. So what do you think that show did for reaching out, and how that will carry into some of the stuff and plans that you have for 2023, or anything that you can say? So
it definitely made me want to write more music, because at the time we didn't have the EP released. We were still playing songs from the EP, but we didn't have it released. But we did have Wrong Pace released, and people were singing to that. So it was like, why not write more stuff now? I mean, if we can get this response out of people, I mean, they're singing along to it, so it was cool. And hold on, I'm losing my stamina here. Wait, can you repeat the question?
Just what do you think that show did for the band, and where that is helping to push y'all for the year ahead?
Oh yeah, yes, okay.
I hope your podcast meter isn't going down.
No, it's not going down. I'm just a little slow sometimes. I'm a scatterbrain. So I'm sorry. The gears are churning right now.
Yeah, there's a subtle buffer to the sensor. Yeah.
Oh man, it happens to me all the time.
Let me rephrase the question. How about that?
Yeah, rephrase it.
What is the thing that you're most excited for or hoping for to reach milestone-wise for next year with this band?
Well, I hope we can release an album at some point. Like we want to do that full-length shit, you know?
Yep.
Release an album, maybe I don't know. Maybe we could put it out on physical media again. maybe a vinyl. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. We haven't done anything past the cassette yet. I hope we can. I mean, I want to sound like an asshole, but I do hope with time we can be put on even bigger shows. Not bigger than This Is Hardcore. That was pretty big. I'm content with that. Because when we play shows with that, like, intense pressure, it just makes me, before I go on stage, I just feel like I need to crap myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me that nervous.
Right.
So I sitting with that feeling's uncomfortable, but I love that we had opportunities like that, and I hope we get more down the line. Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
Yeah, because realistically, a lot of bands, like there are hundreds of bands that wish to play This Is Hardcore one year, and there's hundreds of people that like relentlessly DM Joe Hardcore, and he's just like mute. Mm-hmm. So even opening one of the days is an opportunity that most bands might not ever get. So yeah, it's cool to hear and see that y'all are grateful for that, A, but B, recognize as like that might be one of the things, because most hardcore bands don't last very, very long. So even if, you know, reaching out isn't a band that goes on for 10 years, that's something that y'all can look back and be like, yo, it's sick that we got to do that at some point.
Yeah, it was still a super awesome opportunity. I won't lie, I felt a little out of place being amongst all those like hardcore superstars. I didn't know where to fucking put myself, because I'm just used to like standing and watching the bands, not being backstage with them. But it was still cool.
Who were you most like starstruck by? And I use starstruck with quotations, because that's the thing with hardcore, is that everyone's the same. You know, there's no like most shows, there's no green room. So like when I was first going to shows, I'm like, holy crap, like this person that I look up to is just walking amongst everyone else. But then over time, you're like, oh, these are still just people. But there are still like people that you see that you're like, oh my gosh, like your music is so sick, or you know, whatever that they do. So was there anyone that kind of like gave you a little bit of like an oh shit moment, like I'm about to crap my pants for a different reason?
Like literally all the bands hanging out in the back, I just felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. I was just like, oh my god, what? These guys are like celebrities. I don't belong here. I should be out sitting in the hot sun underneath the most of the time I just sat underneath Shackled's merch table, avoiding the sun, because I don't know, it just felt weird. I couldn't do it.
Well, arguably, I would say, you know, Joe would say that this too, like you do belong there because you're on the fucking bill. So
I guess. Still felt weird. I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever get used to it.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. Like, I think this EP is gonna take y'all to like the next step and the next level, and I hope that there's a lot more from the Reaching Out camp in 2023. Also wanted to talk about another band that I see you rocking, but not on vocals, is a band called CROSSFIRE.
CROSSFIRE.
And when I introed that at the beginning, you chuckled and you're giggling now. So I'm like, is this a joke band? Like before this interview, I was like, I couldn't find any music on streaming, so I don't know if that is yet to be. Anything you want to say to that as far as?
I don't even know how to describe it. We like that band
because y'all have played shows.
Yeah, we played shows, but like, it's kind of like, so our guitarist Kevin D, I think he pretty much writes most of the riffs for that. So any like, I hate to say this, but it's kind of like Reaching Out's like sloppy seconds, like the riffs that we don't use that are like way too heavy for us. Like that's where we're like, if we feel like writing a beatdown song, but we feel like it doesn't fit with Reaching Out, it'll go to CROSSFIRE.
Oh, okay. So if it filters down, I understand.
That's our beatdown outlet. That's our primal monkey music. we used to be called Ape, but we were like, nah.
Ape?
It used to be Ape. It stood for All Proven Equal, but we were like,
I'm kind of pissed that you changed your name. I'm not gonna lie.
Wanted to be more serious. So we did CROSSFIRE.
CROSSFIRE, I guess, can work as a beatdown band. I thought it was like more thrash just based off the name.
Damn.
But
yeah, we took it from a Marauder song.
If y'all haven't put out music yet, if I was in the band, I would push to change it back to Ape. Because
it's an interesting band. We don't really practice that often.
But I don't know, that's interesting. I might have to because here's the thing. I know there's a few motherfuckers who listen to this podcast, and there might be someone who is like, yo, I think that name is sick and wants to snatch it. So
they can have it.
They can okay.
They can fucking have it.
Put it out there. That's so funny.
I wish I could play the music, because it's just it's really ridiculous. It's like banging trash cans together type music, if that makes sense. There are some videos of us playing though on YouTube.
Okay. Is there like a drop date in mind, or is it kind of like a slow burn at this point?
It's a slow burn. The singer, I will put him on blast right now.
Oh,
Logan. We gotta practice more. We gotta practice more. It's because Kevin D, our current guitarist, I don't know, current second guitarist. He's not second though. I don't know what to call him. Our other guitarist for Reaching Out and the singer of CROSSFIRE, Logan, both live all the way fucking up there near, like kind of near Yonkers in New York. So they're like fucking, so it'd be a hike for them to come down and practice with us.
I see.
So unfortunately, that will be a slow project, and I don't know if we'll ever release anything, but I would love to, because it's so much fucking fun. I barely know how to play bass, but if you play bass in a beatdown band, it's like the easiest shit ever. You don't gotta sound good.
Yes. As someone that has a new beatdown project, like it's like literally we're just playing on that first string. Like
no, pretty much. I think I only play on the first string. I feel like I'm like there for decoration at this point. You don't even need a bass player. You can't even hear me. So
I'm there for decoration.
I'm there for decoration.
Yeah, I'm just here to be another body on stage, not to contribute anything musically. It's so funny.
I've definitely turned myself down a few times. So I'm not a musician. What can I say? I'm not good at instruments.
Right.
But I think they keep me around because I'm a homie. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, that's
If they
really the best move. Like,
if they chose to replace me, I wouldn't be hurt.
yeah, but I don't know. That's important to be able to just like, whether people can play their music or not, just like doing shit with your friends is at the end of the day the most important thing.
Yeah.
So one of the last things I wanted to ask you about, KK, is I saw that you went to India super recently.
Ooh, boy, I could talk about this for ages.
Tell me about that, because like I wasn't like, at least off of like the one Instagram post that you made about it, it didn't seem like there was anything music or hardcore related. It was like totally different. But yeah, talk to me about that trip, because you're clearly like psyched on it.
Where to start? I we went on like a little tour with Ray Capo of YouTube Today and Shelter fame. Yes, because he holds those. I think they're probably like yearly. He might do I think he does multiple tours within the year. He does them like where is it? I think he does them in Thailand and India multiple times throughout the year. So we went to the one that went during, it was like October 22nd, and we stayed a little longer. We were there until like November 4th, I think. I stayed there a little longer I went with my mother and my godmother. Oh, excuse me, that was gross. We went to, I think we stayed mostly in the state Uttar Pradesh, because bro, I didn't even know that was a thing. I had to look up the map.
Uttar Pradesh?
Uttar Pradesh.
Oh, that's two words. Uttar.
Uttar Pradesh.
Pradesh. Okay, cool.
Because I went for a holy experience, and that's what I got, bro. But it was actually elevated, because we were like staying at fancier places. Because I did go before to India, but I was like 6, so I don't really remember it. But I remember not staying in as nice places.
Sure.
Throughout the time there.
What was the reason that you went when you were 6?
I have no idea. I think my family. Because I don't know. You visit the Holy Land where it all started. Sure. Because Hinduism, and I think we went to Mayapur. I think my parents were just going, and they probably went to bring us along for the experience, like, because it's pretty important to have those moments, and I do appreciate it, even if I don't remember a lot of it. But this time, now that I'm older and I've been more like, I've learned a lot more about the religion that I come from. It meant like more to me, because I mean, when you go on trips like that, it's not going to be like America, like, at all. So you learn to appreciate the small things, obviously. Like, I was sick throughout that whole trip. Most people were, because there's so much pollution, but it didn't stop me from enjoying it. And that was a pretty cool takeaway. We visited a lot of holy places. Like, for example, we went to Govardhan, where Govardhan Hill is. It is the hill that the avatar of Vishnu, in this past time, he was Krishna. He's like, that is like his most popular incarnation.
Oh, okay.
Also, my name.
Right.
Krishna.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He has a lot of pastimes with devotees and cows, and just growing up being a silly old guy, being a silly little man.
Right.
He lifted in this pastime, he lifted the hill on his pinky to save the townspeople from drowning. And I think for 7 nights and 7 days it rained, because this is just a brief summary. It's obviously not. And I don't know if you're taking this all in. I don't know if I'm being too scatterbrained with this.
No.
But...
I'm being a sponge and I'm soaking it in. I'm very intrigued.
But yeah, he held up the hill with his pinky, to protect them from the rain that the god of demigods, Indra, also he's the one who makes it rain. He makes it rain. He makes it rain.
The original rainmaker.
He sent this like storm down to punish the townspeople for like not respecting him, because they're like, oh, why are we giving these offerings to him, the one who makes the rain? Why don't we offer it to the hill that feeds our cows, grows our crops, stuff like that? So he was pissed. He was fucking pissed. But yeah, he eventually gave up, and I think the hill was cursed to shrink continually till the size of like a grain. It's not at that point yet, but it's still not the mountain it once was.
Sure.
But we did something called parikram. We walked around the hill. We didn't do a full one because that's like 21 kilometers, I think, if I'm getting it correct. So we only walked around halfway around the hill. Still big, but
I appreciate you saying that in kilometers and not miles as a Canadian.
Yeah.
Because we use that shit, so.
I think it was 21 kilometers.
Sure.
Some people do this thing called, what is it called? I think it's called Parikram Dula. I don't remember. It's where like we did the easy thing. We just walked around. Some people will roll around in the sand the whole way through. They will lay down.
Whoa, what?
They will lay flat like a stick, get up from where their feet touched. Then they'll put their, so, okay, here, let me explain it in visual way.
Yes.
So for example, they will start here. This is their head.
Right.
They will move on. Their feet will touch where their head once was, and they will keep going around the hill.
So you
like
kind
that.
of like you're kind of like an earthworm almost.
Yeah, it's like holy leapfrog,
Holy leap. Okay.
And it's because you get in the sand that Krishna touched with his feet.
Sure.
That he's had all his pastimes in, and it makes you feel like you feel enlightened. You feel at one, all that good spiritual shit.
Right. But you weren't doing that.
No,
okay.
I would like to one day though.
Okay.
It can take days to complete it. But
yeah.
I've heard many people feel so much like better and so much closer to God when they do it.
Sure.
So I would love to do that one day.
Right.
That would be so cool.
So just to get even maybe a little bit more context to this. So like your entire family is Hindu? Is Hindu? Is that the right way to say that?
Yeah, you could call it Hinduism.
Okay.
Technically, we would be what are called Vaishnavas. We worship Vishnu.
Okay.
He is, like you've seen him in paintings, right? Like he's blue. Sometimes he's presented with 4 arms. We worship him.
Okay, yeah. I've seen this dude.
He's
hit
like
my timeline once or twice before.
Yeah, he has. So there's him. He's like the creator, if I'm remembering correctly. And then there's also Shiva, the destroyer.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of Shiva.
Oh wait, no. I think Brahma's the creator, Shiva's the destroyer, and I think Vishnu's the one that preserves, if I remember it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, he will come down to Earth in different avatars. I don't remember. I can't remember. I think it's been 9 so far. He's come down in 9 avatars. I think. Look, I'm a bad Krishna. What can I say? I'm all over the place. I think the 7th. Don't quote me on this. Was Krishna.
Did you know that there's a band? Sorry to cut you off, but did you know there's a band from California called Shiva?
No. I did not.
I will send it to you.
That'd be
Do
funny.
you like angel dust?
Yeah, I like angel dust.
They really remind me of that style of, the groovy.
Really?
Yes. I got
That's
to see
funny.
them at Act Like You Know in Oklahoma, and I was so as soon as you said that, I thought of the band immediately, but I know that comes from other places as well. So give them a quick plug. If you like angel dust, you'll like Shiva Groove.
Amen.
Um,
So yeah.
so yeah, I'm just kind of curious, like, because for me it's vastly different, because like I came from like a Christian household, so like religion and spirituality was always like so embedded in my upbringing, and now it's like kind of like I've there are things that I take from that, but there's a lot that I've like pushed away or ignored, or I just don't involve myself with as much. And
Yeah, I could. Yeah,
so I
yeah, I
don't know
feel
if
that.
that's the same for you, or like, you feel pressure from your family to like, doing like, it seems like you going on this trip was like, you deciding it. I don't know if the fact that you got to hang out with Ray Capo and do some of those things helped enhance that. But yeah, it's yeah, I'm just kind of like curious on like the ebb and flow of how that's been for you on the spiritual side.
I didn't really. I'm gonna be honest. I've always like followed the rules growing up. Like, so I've been a vegetarian my whole life,
Okay.
and never did drugs or any of that stuff. Never partied. I'm never a party girl. I was never a party girl.
Yeah.
But that did follow me throughout my whole life, I'd say. But I didn't really even start taking it seriously until more recently. I think, again, actually around when I got into hardcore, I started to take this more seriously, the religion thing. And I still have so much more to learn, because again, I'm a scatterbrain, so I might mix things up, but it does mean a lot to me, because I feel like it is like an answer, even if it's not someone else's answer, it's still mine. So it makes sense to me, some of the stuff, even if I don't explain it the best, but it holds a lot of value in my life. It's what I try to put my focus on most of the time, and I'll maybe meditate on it, but it's a whole whirlwind of things. I still have so much to learn, and I'm excited to learn more. I'm even still like, now I'm still discovering things that I didn't know before, like different stories and pastimes of gods and how it all weaves together. Like, it's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah. Is there any aspect of that you feel helps inspire you when it comes to music stuff, or are those worlds like fully siloed and separated for you?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, they weave. I'd say they're like intertwined in a sense, because a lot of what I write, what has to do with what I believe personally, like what fate the world has, for example. There are like four ages. We're in the age of quarrel, called Kali Yuga. Yep, Kali Yuga, age of quarrel. And I believe that I believe that the world will deteriorate. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't carry on with our lives now and do what we can. We should serve our duties in this world until it eventually does fall apart. We're getting very close, I think. I like to write about that, like in Impaired and Maya. And I probably will continue to write about that, because, I mean, it affects us every day. And it's, I don't know, it's like music's like a good outlet for that stuff.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it's And I appreciate you being just super honest and open to talking about it, because the thing that I always tell myself and that I try to carry with this podcast is that even if someone has like a super niche interest, or, you know, like a part of their life that might seem unconventional to like your cookie cutter hardcore kid, there's at least like 10 to 50 other people somewhere around the world that probably has the interest or the joy of being able to hear about those things and talk about it. And if anything, I feel like it just allows people to know that like you don't have to come from a certain background or religious belief or anything to get into hardcore music. And so I think it's very cool to hear that that is something that, you know, as you're, you know, developing into, you know, a young adult and all those things, like that's something that you're taking seriously, and it's not just something that's like, I did that shit when I was a kid. Like, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And I would be excited to meet anybody who knows more about this topic than me and like discuss it with them. I feel like that would be cool. So if anyone out there would like to school me, please do. I will humbly take it.
Right.
I don't mind spreading the knowledge, you know.
No.
As long as it's truthful.
Yes.
So
keep it posy. Don't just come for Krishna in the DMs being like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you know, I think open dialogue like this is important. And if there's, like, I think it's sick to be able to have that with people about anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, Krishna, we could head towards the close of this podcast. This has been really fun chatting with you. The last section that I ask any guest that comes on the show is a favorite mosh-related story that they would like to share. And so that's anything that's first your head. Violence, wholesomeness, scarcity, good vibes, whatever's first when it comes to funny stories, when it comes to moshing, or wholesome stories. Is how we start to end the show.
I might have a few, if that's okay.
A few is welcome.
Okay, so the first one that comes to my head was in Asbury, actually.
Okay.
Taking it back to Asbury. There's a show at this place called House of Independence. Judge was headlining. So, of course, little old me was psyched. I get to see Judge play. They're like, in my eyes, I was like, they're like these straight edge warriors to me, besides Earth Crisis. That's what I was into at the time. And I remember before they went on, I was watching. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's another Jersey band. I was watching this band, Blind Justice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've played recently, but they're a Jersey band. They're like a Shore favorite, I would say.
Okay.
Jersey Shore favorite. I was standing near the stage watching them. Like, I was like, I don't know. I was just like intrigued, like, okay, Jersey band, these guys look younger than all the old headbands. And I was minding my business, and then somebody moshes directly into me, and I smash my face against the stage, and and then the security, I black out for a second. I see the security shine a light on me. They pick me up. I'm bleeding out of my face.
Oh no.
I think I'm fine, but I'm like, it's throbbing, it's profusely bleeding. Actually, I made eye contact. I didn't know who he was at the time, but I saw Caden. So that was funny. I saw Caden then. But then they dragged me upstairs to the bathroom, put a butterfly bandage on my face.
Oh, you're bleeding like not out of your eye, but close to your eye?
Next to it. I have a scar there still.
Oh, okay.
I wish I could show you. I don't think it'll show up.
No,
but I
can see that.
Right there.
It's like right.
Yeah, from that incident, that little incident. So I couldn't mosh for the rest of the night. And I ended up crying because I couldn't mosh for Judge.
Not crying because of the pain, crying off of the missed opportunity.
I couldn't mosh for Judge. I was crushed. And then, yeah, that was fun. my mom wasn't happy about that. My dad was like, "Yeah, look at my little girl go."
Yeah.
My mom, my dad was not happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we had to take KK to the emergency room at 12 a.m. We waited until after the show to get stitches. But a wholesome moment came out of that. After getting the stitches, instead of going back to the ER after it was healed and taking them out, we took them out in the tattoo shop my dad works at with a pair of scissors and pliers.
Oh.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
And another moment I had, like we were saying, cover bands can really bring out a certain animal in people.
Sure.
So
cover bands or covers that bands play?
Both, I'd say.
Okay.
So I
would respectfully disagree if I was seeing a Slipknot cover band. I wouldn't get as juiced as a band covering Slipknot.
Yeah, there was so at this other show, I cannot remember who played it, but there was a Leeway cover band there was like members of Blind Justice and Heavy Chains, I think, both Jersey bands. And they did a Leeway cover set. So everyone was juiced up on that, man. Again, it's always my fault, I feel like, when I get hurt. I'm just standing way too close to the action. I'm just standing there, and all of a sudden, I get a flying fist to my face. And then I wake back up from my subtle blackout, and I'm just like bleeding profusely out of my nose. And I'm like, oh shit, I can't be bleeding on everybody. So I run to the bathroom for like 20 minutes. Nobody comes to check on me. What the fuck, guys? My sister might have texted me once like, hey, where are you? But they didn't actually come to find me. So thanks a lot, guys. I was bleeding out of my face for like probably not the safest amount of time.
Right.
But we got it. We got it fixed.
20 minutes is a full set for some bands. So it's like, hey, this band has played and another band has played, and KK has not come back from wherever.
Oh my god, I think my dad was there too. He was fucking setting it off in the Leeway pit, bro. Let me tell you. Fucking scary, man.
He's like, I've already, dealt with one of these mosh instances. Someone else can help out KK.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
And I have a last, I think that my last wholesome story.
Okay. You're going for the hat trick.
Yes. We'll close it on a good note. It was the Gridiron record release at this place called the Litter Box that got shut down, unfortunately. That was a cool spot. They were just getting started. Mm-hmm. But the Gridiron record release was there. I was hyped because I was a big Gridiron fan,
Same way. Matt's been on the show. Molly's been on the show twice now. I love that band. I played No Good or Goodbyes is top records of the year for me.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm. What is it? Take Your Ass to Boyertown. Good shit, man.
There's so many. I will not let the mastery of Matt Carl's Gridiron lyrics derail this podcast, because I know we're talking about moshing and we're ending the show, but there are so many good lines. My personal favorite with it's arithmetic, bitch, because literally no one else in the hardcore world has ever said that. So
arithmetic, good stuff.
Yes.
I played dodgeball with them. That was fun.
You played dodgeball with Gridiron?
Yeah. Well, some of the members.
Oh,
that was cool.
That is sick.
A few people came out to that. I think Molly put it together. That was cool. But I'm getting sidetracked.
Yeah. Gridiron record release.
I'm always putting myself in the line of fire. Again, I will take full responsibility for it. I might complain about getting hit, but it really is my fault, honestly. Mm-hmm. Just for being there at the wrong time.
Right.
So I'm standing near the pit watching the band. I'm hyped. I maybe moshed a little bit. I'm not a big mosher, but I was psyched. I'm a goofy mosher, honestly, so that's why I don't mosh a lot. I feel like a goofball, but that people were fucking getting it. They were into it. And then once again, wham, KK goes down right next to KK goes fucking down. She hits the fucking floor. She hits the floor against the hard concrete. I'm feeling a little woozy. My friend Kayla McKay, fucking, I hear her screaming my name in like a blur of fucking of music and like ringing in my ears. She's like, KK. She grabs me like a fucking medic in World War II, drags me from the fucking pit to safety.
Out of the trenches.
Out of the fucking trenches.
Onto the benches, because we gotta work with that.
I'm on the bench. I'm on the fucking bench.
I was in the trench, but I gotta hit the bench for a second.
I hit the fucking bench. She drags me out, concerned for my safety and health. I'm looking up at her like, is this it? Is this it? Am I going? Am I concussed? Am I brain damaged? I ended up being fine. I ended up standing up fine like 5 minutes later, but at the time, I felt like I was gonna die.
Yeah.
She got me to safety, and I'm very thankful for that. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was very nice. That was
Kayla's a real one. Actually checking up on you, not the story before where no one is checking up on you.
Yeah, what was up with that, guys?
Yeah.
No, nobody cared. Okay. Anyways.
Well, 3 fantastic stories to end off this. Krishna, this has been honestly like really fun. Sometimes I like to play on the serendipity of, again, finding out about reaching out and listening to the music and then prompting to reach out to have you on the pod and just learning a lot, having just an awesome conversation. All the links to your bands and yourself will be in the YouTube description and in the show notes. But if there's anyone you want to shout out, anything you want to plug, or anything you want to send the people off with before we wrap up, the floor is yours.
Let me think about this. Here, let me do a shameless self promo right now. Listen to Reaching Out, obviously. We did release a new EP. We released cassettes. I think they dropped. So go buy one of those bad boys if you can. We will be playing, to all those New Jersey people out there, we'll be playing a show January 1st at Cinco de Mayo. Cute little Mexican restaurant. That's a good spot. Oh, I wish I talked about that. Oh my God, I almost forgot completely. Anyways.
Well, I will say, I think this pod might be out just like at the start of January, so just after that. So that show might have already happened. It's probably sick.
Oh,
but
frick. Okay. Yeah, but we are, I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying this, but we are supposed to go on tour twice this year. So look out for that on the Instagrams, and shout out to everybody who's still making it happen.
Where are you guys going to be touring? New places?
Yes. But also we will be doing the East Coast probably.
Cool. That makes sense.
I think for both of them, we're going to be doing the East Coast at some point, like within our tri-state area, at least. So look out for that for sure. We're not international yet, but maybe someday we will be. And shout out to everyone who's still putting on shows, making it accessible for people of all ages, especially. And tickets at doors. I hate buying tickets online, so anyone who still does tickets at doors, thank you.
The only way. Yeah.
And thank you to all my friends for making me feel supported and just pushing me forward, And that's all I have to say.
I love that. Whether Reaching Out becomes an international show band based off maybe playing in India one day or playing in Canada one day, I hope that happens sooner than later. hard agree. Everyone go listen to the latest Reaching Out EP. You will not be disappointed. And KK, thanks for coming on the show. This was really, really fun.
Thank you for having me.